Yesterday, I spoke at an event, and the event had around 30 people. I spoke for about 6 minutes, and from that 6 minute speech, I got 5 qualified leads. So, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what it was that I talked about, showed you how I prepared for it, and you can actually see the speech that I gave. So, high value video, don't miss this one. Enjoy.
Before we give any sort of speech or presentation, there's two foundational things we should do. Number one is setting a very clear objective. And then number two is thinking about the speaker, content, audience, sort of context relationship. So first of all, my goal for this is to build connection with the people that are attending as quickly as possible so that I can then have more conversations with them in order to find potential clients or potential collaborators. That is my goal. So I want to turn up the charisma, I want to turn up the confidence because I'm a speaking coach, so I have to speak well. And I want to make sure that I'm demonstrating some of those skills in front of other people, but also leaving that door open for them to come and actually talk to me. So that's really, really important. Now, in terms of this, what we call the speaker content audience relationship, I'm going to adjust that a little bit for this. There are three main stakeholders here. Number one is me. Number one is me, the speaker. Number two are the people who attend. And then number three is actually the event itself and the goals that Ryan has for this event. So for me, firstly, I want to make sure that I'm sharing stories that align with my objective. And I want to make sure that I'm able to, demonstrate those skills. I also want to make sure that I'm comfortable. And the good thing is that I'm an expert in this space. I'm an expert in having lived in Taiwan for 10 years, right? So that topic is something I know a lot about. And so it's more just about picking the right content to fit the objectives. I don't have to worry too much. I don't have to do any research or anything before this speech. So that saves a lot of time, and that's great. Now, one of the challenges is that I don't actually know who the audience is. I'm meeting them for the very first time. I guess there's pros and cons to that. That means that I need to break the ice, and I want to establish credibility as quickly as possible. Credibility we establish by being likable, showing concern for the audience's well-being, by also showing that we have credibility in what we're talking about in terms of experience and things like that. And so I want to make sure that I am choosing stories and content that's going to most likely align with their views. Now, given the context of the event, we know that the people attending are probably looking for belonging. They're likely to be international expats, and they've probably lived in Taiwan for a while, and that they like Taiwan. So I want to make sure that everything I talk about aligns with those four things. Cool. So that's all foundational stuff. They're things that we want to think about, not just as we're writing. I usually like to write things out first, then I apply that, and then I sort of trim it and pick and choose. It's easier for me to just have a whole bunch of ideas and then trim it down rather than start from the foundations and try to fit it in. That's just me as a personal preference, but I've done both also for clients and also for myself in the past as well. So, first sentence, hello everyone. I'd like to thank Ryan for inviting me to this terrible, awful event. I want to make a joke at some point in the first 30 seconds. There's a few reasons for this. First of all, we know that jokes are a very powerful way to connect with our audience. Hormonally, in terms of what it does in the brain, it definitely builds connection, right? It's someone who's funny is often very popular. We like people who are funny. So I want to do that first and just establish that I'm someone who's going to make a few jokes, that this is going to be relatively lighthearted, and I want to build a connection with my audience. I also want to help myself feel comfortable in this situation. So for me personally, often before I speak in a new situation, new environment, which this is, I've never been to this event before. I've never been to this, because it's the first event. I've never been to this location before. And I've never met any of these people before. So it's likely that I'm going to get a little bit shaky hands, shaky legs. I'm going to be a little bit nervous, and that's fine. So one of the ways that I can snap myself out of that is to make a joke early on, because I know for me, I have enough experience to know that when I start seeing some people smile, pull a face, smile or laugh, whatever, it makes me feel more comfortable. And it almost immediately gets rid of those nerves. So I'm going to do that very early on to make sure that I can roll through all of this smoothly, in case I'm feeling nervous. So next, it's also a privilege to share my story with you. So straight away, I want to make sure that I'm focusing on the audience. I want to make this as if this is one of the main points, right? Which it is. But I don't want it to be all about me, because obviously I'm sharing my experiences, but I want to establish that I want to hear your stories as well, and it's a real privilege to be able to share it with you. I'm also going to say this again, something similar at the end. and I'm hoping that it's a prompt for people to actually come up and talk to me later on. So I want to keep that door open and have an opportunity to hear people's stories. I will go up to others and be like, "Say, tell me what's your story." And that'll be an easy way to break the ice. Here, I'm setting up my story. I want to create a little bit of weight because I've joked around. I've been sort of, I made a little joke and then I said something kind of more personal here, connecting with the audience. Now, just before I dive into the stories, I want to mention that this was a very powerful activity, and that will hopefully allude to the fact that what's coming is going to be quite profound or serious or something along those lines. I'm setting up the excitement, anticipation for what's to come. Now, I chose 2 stories. The first story of my experience was about basically something funny about why I liked Taiwan and what's kind of special about Taiwan. And then the next one was about why I really feel connected to Taiwan. And that's this first one is something that people can relate to. I think most people can relate to. The second one is a little bit more unique to me, but it's still relatable and it makes sense. So 2 different stories there with a slightly different purpose. Then I'm going to wrap up, and I'm going to say this for a moment just to say that it hasn't all been super smooth. There was a point where I planned to leave a couple of times and maybe never come back. And I want to establish that because I'm setting up this conclusion to make sure that I am vulnerable and honest, to establish more credibility, to keep that door open, to make sure that people feel comfortable to come and talk to me. So I feel like this is a nice one. It's true. Nothing here is a lie. It's all true. And I found myself back here. I'm looking to build a sense of belonging, vulnerability, and once again, hopefully building trust, and that it can be hard to find belonging here as an expat. So along those lines there. And mentioning that I'm in a rediscovery phase, I'm looking to connect and make this beautiful country my home. And one little note at the end there, hopefully I remember to say that I want to hear your stories, so come and have a chat with me. Lovely. So that is basically how I've structured it. I might have done a 3 key point structure if I wanted to, but not enough time, right? I need to fit this in 10 minutes. So I've got my introduction there, all quite purposeful in terms of what I'm planning to do. So stick around. You're going to see me do some sort of pre-speaking routine, and then after that, you're going to actually see me deliver the speech, and hopefully I don't bomb. So you can check that out shortly.
All right. Well, we've arrived in Taipei, and we're on our way to the event. I thought it'd be a good time to talk a little bit about pre-speaking routines. There's a few things that you can do that will help to give you an edge, help you to be more focused and calm the nerves before you speak. So the first one, the easiest one, is the Huberman breathing technique, or any breathing technique, but I like to use the Huberman breathing technique. So let's go this way. Pretty simple. We're going to breathe in deeply. Take one inhale, a second inhale, hold it for a second, and breathe out. And I'll put a link in the description for how that works, because that explanation might not have worked very well. I find this, for me, just instantly calms me down. It makes my head feel calm, basically my mind feel calm. So it's a really powerful one that I highly recommend. The second thing that we might want to consider, what I usually consider, is something to help with kind of like shaky hands and shaky legs. I often get shaky hands and shaky legs. I'm feeling a little bit nervous. So what you can do is basically just exercise those muscles. If you get shaky hands, then just clenching your fists and relaxing, right? It's something that you can do when you're actually at the event as well. It's kind of subtle. And if your legs are kind of getting shaky, then just to, move them, just do these kind of like lifting up and down on your tippy toes sort of action. And just start to try to release some of that adrenaline that's building up. I find that helps me a lot. Shaky hands are pretty good, shaking the arms out. If you have space, you can do push-ups, chin-ups, squats or something, but often we don't have that opportunity to be able to do that when we're in a social setting. The last one I want to talk about is the cognitive reframe. So just reminding yourself that we all have limiting beliefs, and we just want to have some statements that we can read that will help to rewire the way that we're thinking. And if we do this regularly enough, we do it over a period of time, it will help us a lot in these high-stakes speaking situations. So Mel has a good one.
No one's going to remember you after tonight.
At all?
You're not that important.
I am important.
It doesn't really matter what you say.
Nothing matters. We're all going to die in the
You
end.
don't really matter.
I don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not important. Great.
You will fail.
I will fail. Yeah, perfect. The cognitive reframe tends to be very specific to you and your limiting beliefs. So if you want any help with that, you can join our community, you can come have a chat with me, and we'll make sure that we've got this perfect phrase for you, something that's going to help you moving forward if you're doing a fair bit of high-stakes speaking. All right, well, that's it. They are the 3 key parts of my pre-speaking routine. I'm like half an hour away from being at the event, so I'll see you later.
Hey Mel.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Oh, very friendly. It's awesome. You know, Ryan was saying that I'm very friendly. Scarlett's very friendly. I think Ryan is one of the friendliest people I've met in Taipei. So thank you for gathering us here tonight, Ryan. I really appreciate it. Cool. I'm going to tell a couple of stories that hopefully you can relate to. One of them is about why I really like Taiwan, and the other one is sort of like why I ended up staying here for so long. So a bit of context, my name is Ben. I've been here for 9 years, on and off. Yeah, it's a long time, yeah. So jumping back, the year is 2017. I've been here for about a year, and it's a Sunday morning. I'm a little bit hungover, you know, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. I need to eat something, right? So I go outside, and it's like 35 million degrees outside, and I'm looking for a restaurant, find a little restaurant, and as I walk in, the lady at the front, she goes, like, ni hao, like very enthusiastic, like, ni hao, like, nei yong wai dai, you know, it's like, do you want to dine in or take away? And I was like, oh, my head hurts. I'm like, oh, nei yong. And then she looks at me, she's like, wow, 你中文这么好.
All heard that before.
Yeah. She's like, 你来多久? I was like, how long have you been here for? It's like, 1年半, 1年半, 那你讲中文这么好. And just so enthusiastic, so heartfelt. And I sat down and I kind of laughed out loud for a minute, you know. And like, what a place to learn Chinese. Like, one of my main missions coming here was to learn Chinese. What a place to learn. I was in Tainan, and I feel like Tainan people are particularly friendly. And it was just such a nice environment to learn Chinese. As a thought exercise, I like to think about what it would be like in the reverse. So I'm from Australia. So if you can imagine a Taiwanese guy walks into like a fish and chip shop in Australia, and the lady says, like, would you like to dine in or take away? And the Taiwanese guy says, dine in. And the Australian woman says, your English is so good. Just never in a million years would that ever happen, right? So this is one of the reasons why I fell in love with Taiwan, and especially Tainan, and I loved the culture there and how supportive everyone was. And I think everyone has that kind of experience with people. I often call it Taiwanese random act of kindness. You know, people are just overwhelmingly nice. Yeah. That's the first story. Second story about why I kind of stayed and why I feel so connected to Taiwan. So I'm half Singaporean Chinese. My mom's from Singapore, and I really wanted to come here and learn Chinese. It's a real mission for me. And I really wanted to be able to have a conversation with my grandma. My grandma speaks Chinese, right? So she lives in Singapore, and I'm like, I'm going to come to Taiwan. I'm going to learn Chinese. I'm going to have a conversation with my grandma. So I study hard for about 6 months, and my Chinese is getting better. Talk to my mom on the phone. I'm like, Mom, 我会讲中文. She's like, oh, very good, Ben. You know, good job. I'm like, I can finally have a conversation with Amma, you know? And she's like, oh, yeah, like, it's a shame she doesn't really speak Mandarin. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, she speaks some Mandarin, about as much as she speaks English. And I was like, well, she speaks like 5 words of English. She barely knows any English. And so I talked to my mum about it, and I was so ignorant. I had no idea, but she speaks Chaozhouhua. She speaks Tuchu. She doesn't speak Mandarin. She doesn't speak Cantonese. She doesn't speak English very well. And so all of that for nothing, right? Like, I was like, oh my God, why? But it actually was a catalyst for me to start digging a little bit deeper into, you know, like, who are Taiwanese? What is Taiwanese? Yeah, who are Taiwanese people? What is my heritage? And it kind of clicked for me a few things about why I like Taiwan so much. And there's a lot of similarities between people from Chaozhou originally and Taiwan. So number one was the food. As soon as I arrived here, I noticed that all the food is basically what my mum cooks. You know, I see things like zongzi, I see things like tan restaurants, all the vegetables and stuff. It's very similar to what my mum cooks. It was a very easy transition for me, right? That's number one. The second thing was when my mum came to visit me in Tainan, and she's walking around just like speaking Taiyu to all the locals. She's like super popular there. They're all like, oh, wow, like this is foreigner who speaks Taiwanese. And she was so cool. It was the first time I ever saw her in like this light of being so cool, you know? I was like, wow, there's like, it's kind of like, I guess, an Australian talking to a Brit. There's like a lot of cultural similarities there, right? And the third one, the really big one for me was when I used to teach, and I was teaching and I was looking at the class list, and I saw one of the last names of the kid is the same last name as my family name, which is Yan. My Chinese family name is Yan, like Yansi, the Yan color. And I was like, oh, like why? And then I dug a little bit deeper and found out that there's a lot of kids in Taiwan, a lot of people in Taiwan with that last name. So I think that if I had moved to somewhere like Spain or Argentina or somewhere, I would have probably had a good time, but I wouldn't have these threads, these commonalities where I feel very connected to the place. So, over the years, I've thought about leaving a few times. I almost left, and I always come back, right? And I think Taiwan's a very, very special place for me for that reason. So that's my Taiwan story. I look forward to hearing your stories as well. And yeah, have a lovely night. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed the speech. I will be doing a video where I critique the speech. You'll see that in a link somewhere. So look out for that if you want to see my analysis, because I didn't actually fully follow the script and I made some decisions in the moment based on the context. So have a look out for that. If you feel like improving your public speaking skills would improve your business or your brand, and you want to get more leads as a result of the speaking that you do, then please reach out to me, join my community. There'll be a link in the description, and I'd love to chat with you more about it. All right, have a good one.